Hi guys, Kelly here. Did you know that you could use, there's always a piece of dust flying around here, a palette knife with watercolor? It's not just for oils. Today I'm going to share with you my mushroom painting. It's like a little fairy whisper. And I'm going to be using my palette knife to kind of kick off the whole thing. I'm going to be using my favorite new gold. It's gold by Schmincke. This stuff is amazing. It's actually a powdered form. Let me show it to you here. Look at that. And it's like, oh, look at the wrong spot. And it's like liquid gold when you add water to it. It does take a little effort to mix it up, but it is so well worth it. As a matter of fact, I use my little jar. This was my jar that I had forever for masking fluid. Gone to masking fluid and did this, and I do have a video if you want to check it out, with a ruling pen and also with a calligraphy pen, and some other little tricks that I have. So this is the gold. I'm now using this for my gold pigment, and you can see the gold pigment, it actually has dried up in there. Look at that shine. Isn't that amazing? I've got the light on there. All you got to do is add water to this and it reactivates it. You can add more of this powder pigment to it. I usually use my palette knife for that, and I just pour a little bit in there, mix it up really good with the back of my brush, and it's amazing stuff. I'm also going to be using a Sharpie and, of course, my palette knife to start it all off. So if you are somewhat of a perfectionist like me, I think this is really going to help you out. It's going to help you embrace the magic of watercolor. So let's jump in. I think that when most of us artists think of a palette knife, we picture like this thick oil or acrylic paint being sculpted onto a canvas. But did you know that you can use a palette knife with watercolor too? I think it's a really exciting way to add texture, depth, and really give you that spontaneity in your watercolor paintings while you still preserve that beautiful fluid look of watercolor. So if you're looking for a way to loosen up that painting style of yours or embrace imperfections, create bold, expressive marks, I think working on a palette knife in watercolor might be something that you'll definitely love trying. So why try it? Using a palette knife is kind of a way to break all those traditional rules, and I think that's exactly what makes it so much fun. So instead of relying on a brush for every single detail, the palette knife kind of helps you create that texture. So you could use like a scraping, a dragging method. You could layer watercolor paints with a palette knife, and it really creates some interesting textures that are really hard to achieve, I think, with just a brush alone. Also will help you loosen up. So if you tend to overwork your watercolor paintings, a palette knife kind of forces you to embrace that spontaneity, and I think it lets the paint flow a little bit more freely. And you can always add details on top. It also helps you mix some colors differently. So instead of, carefully planning out all of your colors on your palette, you can kind of mix them directly on your paper, which really leads to really unexpected and beautiful color variations, which is how I got this one. And then I did add the gold on top of it. It was just about playing with those colors. And I think it really adds a bold contrast because palette knives allow you to have those sharp edges or those crisp areas. And I think that can really make a painting pop, even if it's like an abstract painting. So I think it's like the perfect way to break out that creative rut and experiment in new, exciting ways. So you're going to start by adding your paint to your palette knife. You can scrape, you can lift, you can drag, you can make some soft blends, you could do a little scratching on the paint. I think they call it sgraffito. I think that's how you say it. But it's just so much fun. The first time you're using your palette knife painting with watercolor, it might feel a little bit unpredictable, but that's really okay. I think that uncontrolled brush work, that palette knife technique is going to really rely on the spontaneity. So some areas of your painting might turn out absolutely beautiful. Others might surprise you in unexpected ways. And I think that's what's going to make it so much fun for you. So let go of that perfection, trust your natural movement of the water and the pigment, and let's kind of dive into this mushroom painting that I created. Now, remember, I do have a full online course if you want to check out all of these things that you've been seeing flashing before your eyes here. This is all part of my palette knife painting course, and I would love to have you in there. And as a bonus right now, I have actually included this fun mushroom demo to help you practice with your palette knife technique. And this one is going to be in real time. So if you're ready to loosen up your painting, let's take out your tools and let's try a little mushroom painting. All right, you guys, I started out, I wasn't quite sure if this palette knife thing was going to work for something more defined like a mushroom, but I had a lot of fun experimenting and playing along with this one. If you want some creative, unexpected textures in your watercolor paintings, this is going to be a really fun way to do it. I'm painting a whimsical watercolor mushroom. I'm going to be using my new favorite gold paint, a Sharpie, and a palette knife. And I first started to sketch this one out. I'm trying just to do a really basic mushroom just from my memory. I may or may not have it correctly. And then I'm going to add some color to that. I squirted the bottle, just filled with water, and then I'm just using that palette knife to move things around. So this is just like the base of the color. I added a little bit of salt to it. I let that sit for some time, wiped it off, and this is what I got. So it was kind of blurry. It was a little bit blurrier than I wanted. So I went in back with that gold. And this is a really quick and playful technique that you can use to make artwork kind of more expressive, I think, without overthinking everything. I then went back in with my black Sharpie and I just kind of sharpened everything up a little bit because it did lose a little bit of that shape in there. I couldn't see it. And then I went back over it again with that gold and added a little bit more to it. So if you love experimenting with watercolor and you want to do a little bit deeper dive into palette knife painting, I started experimenting this way and just kind of exploring it. And I found I loved the depth and the texture and the spontaneity that it produced. And it's just a really fun way to play with watercolors without being so uptight. So I added a little bit more of my Payne's gray with the gold, and just look at that. I wanted to show it up close as well. Actually, this was moon. What's that? I think that's moon glow is what I used from Daniel Smith as well. That was a little bit of that purple in there. But it was so much fun. I would advise you to just play, try it out. You know, that's really what this channel is all about. I share a lot of my test subjects, so to speak, on here. And that's where I come up with some of these ideas for my classes. All right, thanks again, guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.